Oh boy, we're talking about Evil Dead? Groovy. That was my terrible Ash impression. I hope you liked it. Probably sounded nothing like him. Anyways, guys, welcome back to the Halloween special. I am having such a great time looking back at a spooky list of movies in the build-up to the big day at the end of the month. This time around, we are looking at the definition of a cult phenomenon, the original Evil Dead from 1981, which of course stars Bruce Campbell as Ash, the one and only Ash, and it was written and directed by, let me look it up real quick, Sam Raimi, I think his name was? Yeah, he was a relative newcomer at the time. That's all I really know about him, but you know, that's not important. Joking aside, Ash, played by Bruce Campbell, along with his girlfriend and his 3 nutjob pals, hike into the woods to a cabin for a fun night away. And there they find this old book known as the Necronomicon, whose text reawakens the dead when it's read aloud. Of course, the friends inadvertently release a flood of evil, and they must fight for their lives or become one of them, the Evil Dead. And spoiler alert, y'all, Ash watches his friends become possessed, and he must make a difficult decision before daybreak, all to save his own life in prevention of becoming one himself. I love Sam Raimi. I think he's one of the most inventive minds working in Hollywood today. He crafted the Spider-Man movies of my childhood, and I adore those films, and I have him to thank for that. But the Evil Dead movies really were what brought him into the limelight as a serious filmmaker. Ironically enough, this movie is extremely campy and very, very silly, and that detracts a lot of people away from the Evil Dead. But the thing is, this movie knows it. This movie knows how silly it is, and they embrace it. And they never try to be anything more than what it is. A campy 1980s gory zombie flick. I really don't know how else to describe it, guys. But this is one of the few movies on this year's list that I can call an experience. The Evil Dead is one of those movies I feel like you have to see to believe. And even though there are a few elements of this movie that do appear extremely dated, it does look like this movie was made in the 1980s. But you gotta commend Sam Raimi for this direction and what he brought to the table. You know, this movie I actually find very similar in nature to the Blair Witch Project. Now hear me out on this one, because these two sound like polar opposites when talking about scary movies. But just look at the way that Sam Raimi frames his actors in The Evil Dead around these really spooky set pieces. This almost feels like a found footage movie in a way without being a found footage movie necessarily. That is except for the ending, which is pure found footage with one of the zombies actually getting to Ash. I love that ending, like where you think that Ash is in the clear, he finds the daybreak, and then we cut to this found footage shot of a zombie just getting up and reforming inside the cabin, and then just speeding towards Ash, he screams, boom, slam to black. I love that. And that's all in due credit to Sam Raimi and his ability to build suspense, no matter how silly this premise may be. Now trust me, The Evil Dead does have those WTF moments thrown in there for sure. I can think of Ash's girlfriend in the woods with the branches and everything like that, and yeah, that right there to me is one of the biggest like what the f moments in horror movie history. But there's just something about The Evil Dead that just works. This is partly because of Sam Raimi's direction. It's also partly because of the revolutionary prosthetic work that went into this. Like, look at the makeup work on these zombies. Look at the faces that they're forming. Absolutely take your breath away, your pants scary looking. So the charm of The Evil Dead might lie in part to the revolutionary makeup as well, but I think what really, really works about The Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell himself. And this is the role that, again, much like Sam Raimi directing this is what made him famous, this, in turn, is what I think made Bruce Campbell famous. I don't really think there's any doubt in me saying that. Bruce Campbell brings just about the right amount of intensity to the proceedings, but there's a line he could have crossed with this performance where he could have taken it a little bit too seriously, and it would have come off like the stupidest movie you'll ever see. But I think Bruce Campbell knew deep down how silly this whole premise was, and he was having a blast on this. You could tell every single person involved was having a blast on this, and it really does feel like more of a labor of love more than anything. It doesn't really feel like a movie that's trying to impress a whole lot of people. It doesn't feel like a financial grab so that the studio can give them more money to make more sequels down the line. The Evil Dead is a movie that knows what it is, and it never really tries to be anything more than that. And you know what? this is part of why I respect Sam Raimi so much, because he was incredibly modest in starting out his career, and this would eventually propel him sky high on the director's totem pole here in terms of big blockbuster filmmaking. And man, Bruce Campbell in this is just, he's just so fun to watch. His energy is just so damn infectious. Ah, shut up, Linda. There's so many funny quotable one-liners in here. Not only would this in turn kickstart Bruce Campbell's career as an actor, but it also built this unbreakable connection and bond between Raimi and Campbell that we still see to this very day. Every Marvel movie that Sam Raimi has had a hand in directing, Bruce Campbell has had a part in it. Very, very small parts, but I would honestly argue that they're amongst the most iconic movie cameos of all time. And The Evil Dead was the movie that started it all for those two household names. So even though there are elements of this movie that do appear very dated in the year 2022, there is no denying that this is a groovy time every October. I'm gonna give The Evil Dead an A. In case you're wondering, yes, I do prefer The Evil Dead 2 over the original here. I just think that that's a better formulated story, and I think Sam Raimi just had a better grip on it the second go around. Like, he knew the material he had here, and it's phenomenal. But I feel like with him knowing his characters, doesn't really have to set anything up in Evil Dead 2, and we can just get right into the action. But guys, let me know down in the comments what you thought of The Evil Dead. Is this your favorite of the franchise? Do you prefer Evil Dead 2 like I do? Obviously, guys, I love discussing all brand new things in movies and entertainment here on the regular. If you're a new viewer, do consider subscribing to the channel. It's completely free, but that would be a huge favor, guys. Hit that notification bell on your way out, and do me a favor and hit that thumbs up as well. That would be tremendously helpful. Stay tuned for more exciting content hitting my channel very, very soon. And, you know, the next entry in this year's Halloween special, I never said that all these movies had to be good. So now we're gonna look at a movie that's really, really bad. Up next on our list is the big cult phenomenon from 2003 known as The Haunted Mansion. Thank you, Jacob Hubbard, you little bastard, you. But yeah, I can't wait to talk about that and much, much more. Thank you guys so very much for all your continuous support as well. It really does mean the world. With all that being said, back talk, commence!